The government has been shut down by a little bit now, all because of the Diddycrats, folks. That's right. The Diddycrats are the reason why the government is shut down. I am, of course, being facetious. This is Donald Trump's fault. This is Donald Trump's shutdown. This is Mike Johnson's shutdown. Quick recap how we got here. The Democrats proposed an amendment to the budget or to the appropriations bill that would have rolled back some of the cuts to Medicaid that happened because of the big, beautiful bill. The Republicans, in their never-ending quest for evil, said, no, we don't want to do this. We want less people to have health care. We want people's insurance premiums to skyrocket. They refused to negotiate. They refused to compromise. They refused to even hold a vote. As Marjorie Taylor Greene said, the Republican Party doesn't need 60 votes. They don't need a 60-vote majority. They could have just passed, I forget what the, I guess it was, I think it's a CR. I don't remember what she said. She tweeted this a couple days ago. But they could have just voted on this with a simple majority and kept the government open. But they don't want to do that because they fucking hate you. They hate me too. They hate everybody. They hate everybody who isn't a big, greasy, sweaty billionaire. As a result of the government shutdown, services are being reduced. There were no air traffic controllers at Burbank Airport last night. Obviously, the FAA is a government agency. Folks who work for the TSA, who work for the National Park Service, are being furloughed. But in some instances, like with the TSA, they are still told to come into work despite not receiving pay. However, these federal workers are entitled to back pay once the government reopens. But now Donald Trump doesn't want to do that, or he wants to be able to deem who is worthy of this back pay.
Government shutdown. We are now learning the Trump administration has drafted a memo arguing that furloughed federal workers will not be entitled to back pay when the shutdown ends. Reporters just asked President Trump about it minutes ago in the Oval Office.
Is it the White House's position that furloughed should be paid for their back pay?
I would say it depends on who we're talking about. I can tell you this, the Democrats have put a lot of people in great risk and jeopardy, but it really depends on who you're talking about. But for the most part, we're going to take care of our people. There are some people that really don't deserve to be taken care of, and we'll take care of them in a different way. Okay? Thank you.
Basically what he's saying is, if you are a registered Democrat, go fuck yourself. This is what I was just saying. When I advocate for universal health care, when I advocate for a $15 minimum wage, when I advocate for universal child care, I'm not advocating for it for only registered Democrats. I want Republicans to have access to this shit too. That's the point. The point is to make everybody's lives better, regardless of what their political affiliation is. But this administration is basically telling half of the country to go fuck themselves. In the same way that conservatives got mad when Hillary Clinton called them all deplorable, and how she alienated 50% of the country. Donald Trump is doing the exact same shit. We're going to decide we are going to decide people who qualify for it. Basically, if you're not voting Republican, you're not going to get shit. That's the point that we're at with this administration.
People who really don't deserve to be taken care of. All right, NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Melanie Zanona live on the Hill there. Melanie, what's the reaction on the Hill to this new threat against paying furloughed government workers?
Yeah, well, Democrats are outraged by this threat. They say under the current federal law, federal workers are legally entitled to back pay. They have been back paid in every single government shutdown that we've seen on Capitol Hill in the past. But this is not the first threat that the White House has levied against federal workers amid this shutdown. Just last week, the budget director said that in 1 to 2 days, they were going to be carrying out mass firings of the federal workforce. That still has not happened. So some Democrats are questioning whether this is perhaps just an intimidation tactic designed to get Democrats to fold. So far, though, they are standing firm even while they are expressing their fury over this latest threat. Here's Hakeem Jeffries, the House Minority Leader.
Donald Trump and his administration have been torturing federal employees since the very beginning of his presidency. Every single furloughed federal employee is entitled to back pay.
This guy sucks, man. How is he in a position of leadership? This guy has no charisma. It sounds like he does not give a fuck, man. He's completely monotone when talking about people who are potentially people who are potentially not going to be able to pay their rent, their bills, or afford fucking groceries because they're currently not getting paid, and they may or may not get paid when the government reopens. You would think that he's a fucking like city council person who was talking about like reversing a ban on exotic pets. This is not the appropriate response to this situation. Donald Trump and the Republican Party caused this shutdown. The people overwhelmingly believe that. And now he is further targeting federal workers and fucking up their livelihoods all along political lines. And that, for some reason, is not enough to get Hakeem Jeffries a little emotional about it, a little upset about it.
Period. Full stop. The law is clear, and we will make sure that that law is followed.
Now, in terms of the GOP response, the Republican leaders have said they don't want federal workers to go without pay, but they're also giving some deference to the White House and saying that they're aware that potentially there is this new legal analysis that would allow the federal government to not give that back pay to workers. So just the latest flashpoint quickly emerging in this ongoing shutdown fight.
Yeah, a really dramatic one. Let me ask you about the latest on Capitol Hill.
Maybe we should pay Congress people less. And maybe they shouldn't get paid during a government shutdown either, even though I mean, I guess they wouldn't get paid. But even still, $175,000 is a hefty salary to do fucking nothing. What if we paid them $20 an hour? What if we paid them $15 an hour? Do you think then they would care about getting back paid during the government shutdown? Maybe they would. Maybe they wouldn't. The fact of the matter is that Republicans do not give a fuck about any of you. They are using you for your vote, and that's it. Every time they're in the fucking news, they are pissing in the mouths of everybody who voted for them, whether it be on this issue, whether it be on the one big beautiful bill, which is going to take 10 million Americans off of their healthcare, which is going to shutter 33% of rural hospitals in the country. They are an evil political party.
We've already seen Marjorie Taylor Greene breaking ranks. Anyone else? Are we any closer to a potential vote and getting the government back open?
I would say for the most part, both sides are really standing firm and are pretty united. For Democrats, that means voting against these GOP stopgap spending bills that keep coming up on the floor. They are insistent on extending Obamacare subsidies, which expire at the end of the year, as part of any funding deal. And Republicans have said they're open to those negotiations, but not until Democrats open the government first. However, that Marjorie Taylor Greene tweet that you mentioned was pretty significant because she has the ear of President Donald Trump. She also has a really good finger on the pulse of the MAGA base. So her coming out so strongly, talking about how disastrous it would be for Americans to have their premiums skyrocket. I mean, she mentioned her own kids would face double the numbers in their premiums if they allow these subsidies to expire. That could be a sign that potentially there could be some movement. As of right now, though, no negotiations, at least at the leadership level. Thank you.
All right, Melanie's in.
What's also going on throughout this shutdown is that manlet Mike Johnson is refusing to swear in the newest member of the House of Representatives representing Arizona. Her name is Adelita Grijalva. The reason I'm assuming that Mike Johnson doesn't want to swear her in is because the Republicans would then lose the majority that they have in the House of Representatives. That would basically not allow them to get through any legislation, which is great. but it would also allow for the unsealing of the Jeffrey Epstein files. And there's a bunch of Epstein stuff that we're not going to get to today. Pam Bondi sat in front of the Senate for like 4.5 hours, didn't say shit about the Epstein files. Donald Trump is now, he's openly talking about discussing pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell with the DOJ. It's just great. It's just great how the Republicans are just a bunch of fucking losers who don't want to do their goddamn job.